Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to today's practice. A few props that will be handy for today. If you have a couple hard blocks, we'll use those, and then either a soft block or a blanket, anything like that, either to sit off of or for extra cushioning. For today's practice, I'll invite you to get started in standing. However, if you'd rather get started in a seat, that's fine too, and then you can join up whenever you're ready. If you are ready to begin in standing, then come on up. Take a moment to set up the feet. Find something that feels comfortable and stable, so any distance between the feet is fine. Take a moment to connect the soles of the feet into the floor, maybe lift and spread the toes a little bit, and grounding them down with a little space in between. And then keep the feet just gently pressing down to the floor. Find a rebound. Crown of the head lifting towards the ceiling. Chest is proud. Shoulder is soft. If you like palms open towards the front, then go for it. If you like to close down the eyes, then go for it. And check in with the knees. If they're starting to lock, maybe you'll find a slight bend there. And take a moment to lengthen that backside of the neck as well. So you might imagine the tips of the ears reaching up towards the ceiling, or you might imagine the crown of the head lifting. And then check in. If you feel a little fidgety here, feel free to have some movement before you find your stillness. Otherwise, as you're ready, settling in here. And take a scan of the body from the feet up to the head, and just notice what you find along the way. Notice your breath, and as you feel ready to, gently invite the breath to deepen. With each inhale, exploring a sense of lightness, a sense of space. And with each exhale, softening anything you don't need here, grounding down. And keeping this awareness of the body and of the breath. And check in with your headspace here and see what that feels like. Does it feel busy or quiet or something else? And without judgment, just notice. See if you'd benefit from staying in stillness a little while longer. But if you feel ready to move the body again, start to wiggle the fingers and the toes and flutter open the eyes if you're ready. Let the movements get a little larger, maybe rolling the shoulders a couple of times. If you want to shake out wrists or ankles, go for it. And then as you're ready, take a slightly wider stance, so feet a little bit wider apart than what they were. You might take hands for the hips, or you might just let them hang. And from here, we'll do hip circles in a counterclockwise direction. So start to circle your pelvis as you're ready. And you might keep the torso mostly upright for this, or maybe it feels good to start to exaggerate the motion. Maybe head, neck, and shoulders even want to get into it a little bit. And as you circle here, match it to your breath. So each full round with the hips is a full inhale and exhale. You can also pause along the way, especially if there's a spot that feels a little sticky. Maybe you want to breathe. And last few circles this direction. And wherever you are in your circle, the next time you inhale, take a brief pause. And with the exhale, change direction. You can start it small, add on as you're ready, or pause, moving with your breath. Last few rounds here. And as you're ready, you start to slow down your circles, and eventually coming back up. And then from here, you can keep the feet wide. If you like to take them back to hip distance, go for it. And take an inhale breath, reach the arms up towards the ceiling, and then pause here. Soften just the shrug muscles. And catch hold of the left wrist with an inhale, lengthen the left hand side, and as you exhale, arc over towards the right. You can stay exactly here. You can also take right hand towards the hip, maybe left hand catches the head. You can turn the gaze to the side if you like, but find that stretch through the whole left side of the body. And with a strong belly, the next time you inhale, come all the way up, reach both arms up, and soften the shoulders. And catch the right wrist, inhale, lengthen the right side, and arc to the left. The same option, so mirror whatever you did on the first side, whichever arm expression. And this side might feel a little different, so if you want to turn the head a little differently or something like that, go for it. And breathe that length, that space through the whole right side. And with the tone to the belly, take your inhale breath to come on up. And then release the arms, give them a little shake. Maybe the legs need a little shake. And from here, cactus the arms, and then we'll drop the forearms so that they're parallel towards the floor. Now as you inhale, twist towards the left, extend the right arm any amount. And and as you exhale, come back to center. And then opposite side, inhale, reach the left arm, twist right, and exhale, center. And keep going with your breath at your pace, and you can speed it up or slow it down. Last couple each side. Last one. And as you come to center, release the arms, shake them out, and then step to the top of the mat if you aren't there already. And from here, collect the hands in at the heart and press the palms, puff the chest up. And then with an exhale, bend the knees and sink into your chair pose. Any expression of the shape, so hands can come to the lap if that's more supportive. And check in with the low back. If it feels like a deep back bend, you might find a little more hug through the low belly to support yourself. Find a depth that feels appropriate for ankles, knees, hips. If it feels okay to close down the eyes, go for it. Otherwise, find a gaze point, especially if this feels a little wobbly. Feel the feet connecting to the floor. Notice if there's something that's holding on that doesn't need to be. Awesome. Stay here. Take a deep inhale. Deep exhale. One last inhale, puff up. And hinge forward, forward fold. A halfway lift, lengthen the spine. As you exhale, plant the palms and step to plank pose, top of a push-up. Knees can lower for more support, but if they're lifted, keep the feet active. Either way, keep the hands pressing into the floor. Find the stability through the shoulders. Gazes towards the floor to keep the neck long. Breathe that length from the heels to the crown of the head. And stay here. Take a deep inhale. And stay. Exhale. Once more. In. And out. And take a final inhale. Lengthen. And then lower all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes as you arrive. Inhale. Cobra pose. Peel the heart open. And soften down. 4 more. Nice and slow. Inhale. Lift. And exhale, lower. And final one. Your next inhale, press up to tabletop. And then pause for a moment. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Grip the finger pads into the floor. And then as you feel ready to, tuck the toes, lift the knees. We'll find downward facing dog. You might pedal the heels a little bit. If you need to change the proportions of your shape, then go for it. Find something that feels stable. You can always play with how close the hands are to the feet. The hands are to each other, or the feet are to each other. As you feel ready to settle into your shape, then go for it. And keep the hands pressing the floor away. And keep the tailbone lifting. Keep that length in the spine. Head can hang heavy. Maybe give it a little shake out. And take a deep inhale. And deep sigh. And twice more. Last one. Now inhale, bend the knees, look forward. As you exhale, you can step, walk, or hop to your forward fold. A halfway lift, lengthen, and fold in. And 2 more. Last one like this. And then with strong belly, ride the next inhale, circle the arms, come all the way up to stand. If you're at all lightheaded, keep the arms lifted. Otherwise, when you're ready, you bring the hands to prayer at the heart. The feet press down to the floor. Inhale, puff the chest up. Exhale, soften the shrug muscles. 1 more inhale here, lengthen the spine. And bend the knees, chair pose. You can choose the same expression as the first round. Maybe this side you want something a little different. Go for it. You can add on. We're here for about 5 breaths if you like to close down the eyes. And the last couple breaths. Wherever you are, deep inhale. And hinge forward, forward fold. A halfway lift to lengthen. And plant the palms, step to tabletop. And from your tabletop, lower the forearms to the floor, elbows under the shoulders. And forearms can be parallel, hands can come together if that's more comfortable. And then from here, forearm plank, step 1 foot, then the other to the back of the mat. Always the option to work from knees here as well. Elbows pressing to the floor, find the stability of the shoulders, keep the neck long. If there's pressure in the low back, you can always lift the bum a little higher. And even here, that space and lightness each time you inhale, and then grounding each time you exhale. Last few deep breaths. As you're ready with an exhale, drop the knees to the floor and then lower the chest, the head. And from here, we'll reach the arms back so that they're in line with the hips. You can have palms flat or fingertips and the tops of the feet pressing to the floor. Keep the legs engaged. And then imagine that you're lifting the torso from the legs. So as you inhale, peel the heart open, lift the gaze any amount. And as you exhale, soften down. And 5 more like this. Inhale and exhale. Last 4. Last couple. And pause as you lower, hands back under the shoulders. Inhale, tabletop. And then choose either downward facing dog or child's pose for about 8 breaths. And if you're craving some movement here, feel free to take a few rounds of cat-cow, or if you want another flow, go for that. And resting wherever you need for the next few breaths. And we'll meet in downward facing dog when you feel ready. And from your down dog, take a deep inhale, deep sigh, and twice more. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, step, walk, hop, forward fold. As you're ready, inhale, halfway lift. And sigh it out. And twice more. Last one. And strong belly, flat back, come all the way up as you inhale. Arms can stay lifted. As you're ready, release them down. Find your mountain pose. And close down the eyes. Find your stillness here. And check in with the body and with the breath. And feel your energy, your pulse. And from here, as you're ready, flutter the eyes open, wiggle the fingers and the toes. We'll set up for tree pose. We stand on the left leg first, and a little different for tree pose today, but start off with lifting the left toes and then spreading them out, a little distance in between, and then find a gaze point, something to help keep you steady, something unmoving. And come on to the right tippy toes first, and then spin that right knee out towards the right. Now you can stay exactly here, especially if balance is tricky for you, but check in with the hips for a moment and just notice what's going on there. Now you can stay exactly here, or we'll lift the right knee up to the right. And then for today's tree pose, we're not going to connect the right foot to the left leg, so we're going to keep it kind of open chain, so relying on the bum muscles to keep the leg up. If you need a little more support, feel free to use that right hand. And then maybe you'll flex the foot or point the toes one way or another to help keep the leg engaged. And from here, hands can be in prayer, maybe arms can reach towards the ceiling, find your expression, and then breathe here. Notice what's going on, notice the jaw, the forehead. And whatever the arms are doing, you can bring them back to prayer. And then with an inhale breath, lift the right knee back to center. And then take a big step back with the right foot. And set up a lunge here. And then as you're ready, find your balance. You can widen the base a little bit. And from here, we'll bend the back knee and lower it almost all the way to the floor. So if you find that place that feels really uncomfortable, you'll know you're in the right spot. Maybe an inch or two up off the floor, you can lift a little higher if something's compromised here. And then embrace the shakes, embrace the wobbles. Hands to the thigh might be more supportive. And we're here for 4 deep breaths. And at the end of your next exhale, lower that right knee all the way down to the floor. Now, hard blocks might be handy here, one for each hand. And you can also pad the back knee if it's sensitive. And from your lunge, you might lengthen the base a little bit and take an inhale breath, puff the chest up. As you exhale, send the hips back and the front leg extends. Now we'll stay in this half split shape, but you might choose a higher setting for your props and we'll flow the torso. So as you inhale, lift the chest up, lift the gaze. As you exhale, hinge forward any amount. And then pulse a few times your breath. Last couple. Last one. And the next time you inhale, come on up, crawl back into your lunge. And then from here, we'll spin the right foot over to the left. And then come on up, chest faces the side, similar to a warrior 2 stance. We'll take the left elbow to the left thigh, inhale breath, reach the right arm up. And then as you exhale, arc over towards the left, find that length through the whole right-hand side. A right hand can catch the head here if you like, maybe gaze turns. And then breathe here. Imagine breathing a little more space in between each rib on the right side. All right, with an inhale breath, come on up. And then turn the chest back towards the floor, kickstand the back foot, and step forward to a forward fold. And from here, heel toe the feet a little bit wider, maybe as wide as the mat, toes point out to an angle, start to bend the knees, sink the hips for a squat pose. And now for your squat, choose something that feels accessible for your body so you can add cushions to the bum to add a little extra height. If the heels are lifting, that's not a bad thing. But if you do like them to feel a little more grounded, maybe a block under each heel. Hands don't have to leave the floor, especially if you want them for balance. But if you are bringing the palms together, then press the knees into the elbows to find some stability for the pelvis. Palms are pressing to keep the chest proud, the spine long. And we're here for a few more breaths. If you like to add on a little more challenge, one more option for the arms is to extend the arms up towards the ceiling, and palms can stay together if that works for you, or maybe shoulder distance. And the feet have to stay a little more active here. And we'll head up to standing when you're ready, so you can come through a forward fold if that feels better. Otherwise, with an inhale breath, start to press the feet down, come all the way up. And just like before, if you're a little lightheaded, arms can stay up or release them down. Find your mountain pose and maybe close down the eyes. And settle yourself in, find your breath. And then when you're ready, you flutter the eyes, wiggle the fingers and the toes. This time, lift and spread those right toes out, lower them with a little distance, and then come onto the left tippy toes, spin the left knee out to the left. That same option that you can stay here, take a moment to notice the pelvis. Notice if one hip is higher than the other. See if you can level that out. And then you can stay here or lift the left knee up. Point the toes or flex the foot. One way or another, keep it engaged. Hand can help as well. If hands are free, prayer, maybe ceiling. And then breathe here. Embrace the wobbles as they happen. Last few deep breaths. Hands to prayer. And then with an inhale, left knee to center. And a big step back with the left foot. Set up your lunge, maybe widen the base if it's a little wobbly. And then start to bend the back knee, bring it to hover just up off the floor. Maybe hands to lap or prayer. And keep the chest proud here. And stay for about 4 deep breaths. And the next time you exhale, lower the left knee down, fingertips to your blocks or to the floor. And padding for the back knee if you need. And you might lengthen the base here a little. Inhale, breath, puff the chest up, lift the gaze, and then hips back, extend the front leg. Now stay in your half split. Inhale, lift the torso up, lift the gaze, and exhale, hinge forward over the leg. A few more with your breath. Last 2. Last 1. And your next inhale, come on up, come back to your lunge, and then we'll kickstand the left foot over to the right, and bring your torso up, facing towards the side wall. Find your balance here. You can move the right foot a little to the left or to the right elbow to the right thigh. Inhale, reach the left arm up. And as you exhale, reach the left arm up and over, maybe to catch the head. See if you can keep the chest turned open the whole time, even if you need to adjust something else in the body. And then breathe that length through the whole left side. Left knee all the way up to the left elbow. The next time you inhale, come on up. And then hands to the floor, step forward, forward fold. Heel toeing the feet as wide as the mat. Once again, setting up your version of squat. And if for any reason being in a squat doesn't work right now, feel free to find a seat, forward fold, or you can come straight to standing. Any expression of the shape, so maybe hands in prayer, maybe arms to the ceiling, maybe hands are on the floor. And breathe here for about 5 deep breaths. And when you do feel ready to, think about a transition. And with an inhale breath, make your way up to stand. And then any way you like, when you're ready, you find your mountain. And take a few breaths if you need. If you're from your mountain, from your mountain pose only when you feel ready to. Flutter open the eyes, wiggle the fingers and the toes, maybe a little roll for the head or a little shake out for the wrists, for the ankles. And from here, take a big step back with the right foot. Right toes point towards the right, setting up your warrior one stance. Left foot can go to the left or to the right a little bit. Find something that feels stable and balanced. Arms can reach when you're ready. The arms are reaching, the shoulders stay soft. And then notice here what's happening with the low back and the bum. Maybe it's sticking out behind you. Maybe you can find a little more hug through the low belly, support your spine. And then find your gaze point to keep you steady or play with closing down the eyes. Notice the connection of the feet into the floor. And from here, we'll bring the hands behind the back. You can interlace the fingers. If it feels better to have hands to hips, go for it. Or if you prefer to use a strap, go for that. And then turn the chest a little bit towards the front and take a deep inhale, puff up. As you exhale, hinge forward, a humble warrior, left shoulder on top of or just inside the left knee. Hands don't have to leave the low back, but if you do like to lift them towards the ceiling, go for it. Head can hang heavy. Notice where the pelvis is here. If the left hip is swaying out behind you towards the left, see if you can keep the feet pressing down to keep the hips hugging towards midline. Last couple deep breaths here. All right, with a strong belly and an inhale, come on up. We'll extend the left leg all the way towards straight. A right hand finds the right hip. Inhale, lengthen the left side, and arc towards the back. Now, the left arm can stay extended. Find that length through the whole left side, left toes to left fingertips. Find somewhere comfortable for the head to be as well. Now, use all that length from the left side. As you inhale, come up and reach forward. And then as you exhale, hinge to find your triangle. So left hand can be at the shin, maybe a block, perhaps to the floor. Right hand can stay at the hip or reach up towards the ceiling. And gaze can be wherever is most comfortable for you. And breathe here. Keep the arms reaching apart. Keep the feet pressing to the floor. If you want a little more challenge, we're here for a few more breaths. You might think about making the left hand a little lighter, maybe extending it into some expression. All right, if the left hand's lifted, bring it down. And then we'll reach the right arm towards the front. Turn the chest down, hands to the floor, and step to a three-legged dog with the left leg in the air. You can bend the knee or stack the hips. And check in with the hands. Keep them evenly pressing down. Maybe a few circles with a lifted leg or anything else that feels good here. And then stay in a three-legged dog, but square the pelvis so the left toes are now pointing down. And take a deep inhale. As you exhale, left knee just behind the left wrist, left foot over towards the right. We'll set up pigeon pose. So you can lower the right knee to the floor here, maybe shift it back a few inches. And then find an angle with this left shin that feels good to you. So the left foot can point a little further behind or a little further towards the right. So see what works. Point or flex the foot as well if you want a little more support for the knee. And check in with the pelvis as well. And notice if it feels like you're kind of listing over to one side. You can use one of your extra props to support yourself. And if you're happy staying in an upright pigeon position, then go for it. Otherwise, if you like to fold down, you can walk the hands forward. Maybe you're lowering to elbows. And see if anything needs support here. So if the floor is a little far away for the elbows, maybe use a block under. If you want something for the forehead to rest into and the head doesn't quite reach the floor, then a block as well. And feeling that heaviness in the body here. Soften anything you don't need. And we're here for about 6 more deep breaths, but if your body lets you know to come up sooner, then go for it. And if you need a little more time here, then feel free to stay. As you're ready to come up onto the hands first. And then if you have any props underneath you, you can remove them. We'll lower down onto that left hip and then reach around for the right leg and we'll bring it out towards the front. Setting up for a twist here, so you can take the right foot to the outside of the left knee. If it feels better to extend this bottom leg, go for it. And then if both sides of the pelvis aren't on the floor when you do this, you might add a little bit of height to the hips. Right hand behind, left arm reaches up, take an inhale. And as you exhale, twist towards the right, wrap the left arm around the right knee any way you like. And keep the length in the spine here. If you like to turn the gaze towards the back wall, go for it. And with an inhale breath, come back to center, find your counter twist. And then in about 10 breaths, we'll meet in downward facing dog. So see what you'd like to do between now and then. You can swing the legs around and step back to child's pose. You can go straight to down dog. You can flow or cat cow, maybe kneeling or a different shape altogether. So take your time, stillness or movement, find anything that you need for the next 8 or so breaths. And close down the eyes if you can, and wherever you're resting from, check in with the headspace, the breath, the body. And then in the next 3 breaths or so, thinking of a transition back to downward facing dog. The next time you inhale, lift the right leg up behind you. And then as you exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands, spin the left heel to the floor, and cartwheel the arms up to find your warrior 2 on the second side. And take a breath or two to set up. Play with the relationship between front and back foot, reach the arms, find something stable, something grounded. Maybe check in with the low back, the pelvis, play with that relationship as well. Stabilize for the spine. And then hands find the low back. If you're interlacing, then switch all the fingers by one so it's a slightly awkward clasp. And turn the chest slightly forward. Take an inhale, puff up. And as you exhale, hinge, this time right shoulder on top of or just inside the knee. Hands low back or maybe reaching up towards the ceiling. And just like the first side, check in with the pelvis if the right hip is swaying towards the right. See if you can keep it hugging back to midline. With a strong belly, the next time you inhale, come all the way up, extend the right leg towards straight. Left hand to the left hip, right arm to the ceiling, deep inhale, and arc towards the back as you exhale. Find that length from the right fingertips all the way down to the right toes, left hand wherever feels most supportive for you. Breathe through the whole right side. And then keeping all that length through the right side of the body, and take an inhale breath to come on up, to reach forward, and then to hinge for your triangle. The right hand shin block floor, left hand hip or ceiling, and gaze wherever is most comfortable for the neck. Fingertips are reaching apart, feet stay pressing to the floor. Find that length from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. And if you add it on for the first side, last few breaths, maybe releasing the right hand from its support, maybe reaching it towards the front, a lot more work for the core. Right hand returns if it's lifted, left arm reaches towards the front, and turn your chest down to frame the foot. Step back, three-legged dog with the right leg in the air, and bend or extend, hands evenly pressing down, maybe some circles or movement for the lifted leg. And then as you're ready, square the pelvis, right toes point down. Take a deep inhale, lift the heel a little higher. As you exhale, right knee behind the right wrist, right foot over to the left. Your second side of pigeon may look a little different to the first, so don't sweat it if it needs to. Find the angle for the right shin that feels best. Add support for the hips if you're leaning to one side or the other. The option to stay upright, the option to fold as well. Maybe you're walking the hands forward, lowering elbows, maybe that prop for the head. And take your time to get comfortable. And before you move, please listen to your body if it's asking you for a little more time in the shape. Otherwise, as you feel ready, use the support of the hands to lift the torso back up. Any props that you have underneath you, you can move out of the way. And then maybe with the arms, help that left leg all the way towards the front. Step the left foot outside of the right knee. And take a moment to set the shape up. Maybe the right leg extends. Maybe you're adding height for the hips. And left hand behind, right arm reaches up. Take a deep inhale. And then twist towards the left, right arm around the knee, any way you like. Gaze maybe towards the back wall if you did so on the first side. With an inhale breath, coming back to center, find your counter twist. And then release here. If you're sitting up off something, you can move it out of the way. Unravel the legs out in front and give them a little shake out, maybe a windshield wiper. Knees extended or bent. Awesome. And then from here, extend the legs out in front. And if you need more height for the hips, then go for it. We're going to set up for a forward fold here, but I'll invite you to start off with a generous bend to the knees, and we'll kind of ease into it. So find any version of a bent knee expression here. Take a moment to lengthen the spine. Soften anything you don't need. And take an inhale to puff up. As you exhale, hinge forward any amount. Inhale, lift back up. And soften in. Once more here. And the next time you inhale, come up, pause, and then walk your heels forward, maybe a few inches, maybe even half the foot. Extend the legs part way. And then we'll do the same. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hinge. And two more. Last one. Inhale, come up, pause, and then maybe the heels forward another few inches. They can always stay where they were if that worked better. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, hinge any amount. Inhale, lift, and lower. Last one here. Inhale, come on up. And maybe the heels forward a little bit further. Maybe they're almost extended like mine are. And if you do feel like you need a little support, especially if you have a tendency to lock, or if you're sitting quite high up, you might also add a little rolled up blanket or something under the knees. Inhale, breath, lengthen, and exhale, hinge. And twice more, and then we'll pause in the fold. Last time to inhale and lift up. And as you exhale, settle into your expression of a fold. Whatever you're choosing, make sure it's a pain-free expression. If you're rounding the back, that's okay as long as it feels okay in your body. If it feels okay to let the head go, go for it. And then send the breath wherever you need it. And then see if you need a little more time here, you can stay. Otherwise, with an inhale breath, slowly make your way up. Release the legs here, maybe a tap or a shake out. Maybe you're leaning on the hands, puff the chest up a little bit, wiggle the shoulders. Maybe the chin wants to reach up towards the ceiling. And then from here, come to a seated position, cross-legged if that's comfortable, or anything else that you prefer. Support for the hips is needed. Find that length in the spine, soften the shoulders. Maybe close down the eyes. And then from here, we'll take the head down towards the right shoulder, right ear towards the right shoulder, looking for a stretch through the left side of the neck towards the shoulder. And left hand can stay where it is. If you want to reach it towards the floor, that might change the stretch a little bit. You can also bring the right hand to the head, not so much to pull, just adding a little extra weight. And then breathe through that stretch to the left side. And then releasing the right hand as you're ready, bring the chin in towards the chest, and then roll the head over towards the left hand side. Straight away check in here. You can bring the right hand back to the lap if that's better. If you add it on the first side, you might choose to add on the same way here. And find that length from the right ear to the right shoulder. And then releasing this side, chin towards the chest, and then lift and stack the head on top of the spine. Now, right hand can stay where it is. Take an inhale, reach the left arm up, and now arc over towards the right. Find a side stretch from left hip to left fingertips. And then inhale, breath, come on up, left hand lowers, and pause. Inhale, right arm reaches up, and arc to the left. Now inhale, breath, lift up, release. And then from here, we'll lower down onto the back any way you like to get there. Once you do touch down, set up the ankles roughly underneath the knees. Maybe the feet are hip distance, maybe a little wider or narrower. Set up your robot arms, elbows by the rib cage, fingertips towards the ceiling. We'll set up for bridge pose, so ground down through the feet, through the shoulders. With an inhale breath, lift the pelvis up any amount. And you can stay exactly here. You can release the hands, maybe to catch the edges of the mat. Maybe that gives you more stability. The option to interlace the hands under the low back as well. Whatever you're doing, keep the feet pressing down. If there's a negative sensation in the knees, you might try this from tippy toe or with the toes lifted and the heels pressing down. If you find as the chest comes up, it's restricting your breathing, lift the chin a little towards the ceiling, give your windpipe more room. And last few deep breaths here, but while you are lifted, keep the feet engaged, pressing to the floor, keep the shoulders grounded. An option to stay here for up to 4 more breaths, but when you do feel ready to release, release the arms first, and slowly sequence the spine to the floor. No rush if you're still in the shape, but we'll pause once we exit, so take the feet a little wider, rest the knees in together, maybe the hands are somewhere on the body. Notice that length for the spine, from the tailbone to the crown of the head. If you like a gentle rock of the head side to side, go for it. If you like a windshield wiper of the knees, then go for that. And lifting the knees back to center. The twist I'm going to offer keeps the feet nice and wide apart. If you prefer a traditional 2 knees stack twist, then go for that instead. Otherwise, with your feet at about about mat distance apart, lower both your knees down towards the right-hand side. And a few options for variations for here. You can stay exactly as you are. You can support either knee with a prop. If everything feels secure through the left leg and you like to add a little more weight to it, you could bring the right ankle over the left knee. And again, the option, you might be supporting that bottom knee with a block if you're in this expression. Hands can be anywhere you like. If you like to do T-shape or cactus, go for it. If you like the hands to meet over the head, go for it. And then notice what you're feeling through that left side of the body, that left hip, left leg. If the right ankle is on the left knee, then release it to the floor first. With an inhale breath, lift the knees back up to center. Now you might need something a little different for the second side, but when you're ready, feet nice and wide, lower the knees down towards the left. And then see what this side needs. You can stay, you can add on the option for left ankle over the right knee or to block the knees. Find an arm expression that enhances the pose for you. And send the breath wherever you need it. If the left ankle is lifted, lower it back down to the floor. With an inhale breath, lift the knees up and either pause or take a gentle windshield wiper of the knees side to side. And from here, you can keep this going, or you can bring the knees into the chest. Maybe you're continuing the rock, or maybe some circles for the low back in one direction, then the other. And keep this going, or maybe start to circle the knees independently of one another. One direction first for a few rounds, and then the other. A happy baby might feel nice here. You can reach between the knees, catch feet, ankles, or shins. And you might keep a rock going, or maybe some circling. And as you feel ready to, gently releasing your feet back towards the floor. We'll set up our rest pose, and for today I'm going to offer legs up the wall pose. If you don't have a wall available, I'll demo just in the middle of the room what you would do. Have at least one block nearby, and you'll see how much height you need. You can add the height under the hips and then reach the legs up towards the ceiling. The block is there to make this a little less effortful for the legs. Always the option to add more of a bend to the knees. You can even have them bent quite deeply with the arms around them. If you're coming to the expression up against the wall, then I'd suggest having a soft block or something near the wall. And then to set yourself up, come and find a fetal position, kind of up against the wall. Bring your bum as close to the wall as you can. This will help you for after. And then roll up onto your prop. Bring the bum as close to the wall as you can. And you might need to scoot yourself a little bit, extending the legs up towards the ceiling. And just like the other expression, you might choose to add a bend to the knees here, especially if this feels too intense. We do want it to be a rest pose. And hands can be on the body somewhere beside. You can take them overhead. Just mindful if the shoulders go a little pins and needles, you might want to release the arms. And then see if there's anything that's holding on here that you need to let go of. Maybe a gentle rock of the head. You could even circle wrists or ankles a little bit. And if at any point during Shavasana this shape stops feeling like a really comfortable shape for you, you're welcome to lower down, take a traditional lying down shape, or you can find a seated meditation. But start to settle yourself in, close down the eyes or soften the gaze. Return your breath back to its natural inhale and exhale. And let the body get heavy as you settle in. And gently bring your attention back to the space. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Give the head a rock side to side. And if they aren't already, you might extend your arms and find a full body stretch from the fingers to the toes. If you have a prop underneath you, it might feel nice to release it for a moment and then hug the knees into the chest and give yourself a hug, a gentle rock, a wiggle. And then from here, you can lower down to one side or the other, wherever you have more room. Pause for a breath or two on your side. With the support of the hands, coming up to find any comfortable seated position. If you like to stay near the wall, then go for it. And settle the hips in, lengthen the spine, keep the shoulders soft. And take a few moments here to check back in with the body, with the breath, with the mind. The hands can stay where they've landed, or maybe the palms connect in front of the heart. Maybe the chin bows towards the chest. And thank you for joining me for practice today. Thank you for sharing your breath and your energy. Namaste. And thank you for sharing your practice today. And again, my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and have a great week.